Installing 4DX within your organization is a really important aspect of your organizational change strategy. And you really are focusing on your immediate team, which means you only go to stage 2 within the book. There's a third stage, which is looking at the large organization. So you want to focus on the pilot group, that small team. You don't want to focus on the whole district. So you want to start a little bit smaller and get comfortable with the whole process before you look to expand it. And there are two key components that you really need to understand and work with. And those are the 4 disciplines of execution, obviously 4 of them, and then the stages of change. There's 5 stages of change. They work together, they work hand in hand. And there's a variety of different ways that you can demonstrate these ideas. The last thing that you need to address is how the influencer model and the 4DX model will complement each other and how they fit together. We had a conversation about that the other day in the class meeting, and a lot of people recognize that the two really do go hand in hand. So I want to jump right into a couple of examples and to show you a variety of ways that other students have implemented these ideas. Obviously, these examples can be found on the EDLD 5304 assignment page. And one of the first examples I want to bring to your attention is Deanna Teal's example, and she's got a wonderful context. She's got a link to her innovation plan, which is extremely important, and she really spells out how the 4 disciplines of execution are going to work within a couple of visuals, and then she expands on those visuals. So now, even though this says click on the image to enlarge, it actually doesn't enlarge. So if you're going to be doing something along these lines and using a visual, make sure that you do activate it so a person can look at it. But you'll see that she's got 4 disciplines of execution, the 4 disciplines in this one visual, and then the 5 stages on the other one. And again, you want to make sure that those visuals are easy to follow up. She also added in a context for the disciplines, and she expanded on these in a more significant way. And so this is an interesting perspective. It automatically moves forward, but you can control these as you go along, and so you can speed it up or slow it down. So there's a little bit of control. So if you're going to do something interesting, you want to give your user as much control as possible. So there's a lot of ideas that are expressed within the visual component of that. Once again, there's a discussion about how the 4DX plan works versus the influencer model, and a link to the influencer model. And in this instance, she is missing her references. So you want to be careful about that. But the reason I'm pointing this out is that this is a wonderful overview. All the pieces are here. Other than the references, I think this is really quite good. Some of the images aren't that easy to view, but again, the key ideas, this 5 stages of change, really the whole idea of getting clear, and the launch and the adoption and the optimization and habits, all the key ideas are being addressed. Another student who I think has done an admirable job on implementing this, and she's got a different type of a setup. So she's got an introduction, she's got a link to the innovation plan, and then she builds out the stages. So there's 5 different stages, the getting the clear and going forward, the launch. And then there's the notion of the 4 disciplines of execution that she talks about within a visual that are then further embedded within the stages. Okay, so all these disciplines of execution fit within the stages, and so she provides a context within the visual of the 4DX as well. So all the stages are here. There's a comparison of the 2 models and the references. Okay, this is a very different model, and this is really the PowerPoint slides that this particular student was using when she was working with her team. And this is the slide deck she was using, and going through it, she introduces all the ideas in a very, very concise point form with her folks. She does a comparison of the 2 different models, and then explains why we need to do it, talks about the 5 different stages of change, and then expands on those particular things. you know, and creating clarity. And you'll notice that the 4 disciplines of execution are built within those 5 stages as well. So it's really important that you understand that there's a variety of ways that you can combine these 2 ideas together. So you've got the 5 stages and you've got the 4 disciplines of execution. So again, this is a slide deck that was set up to be used within the context of working with her team. Another example, again, is this demonstration of how the 40X is being implemented, and the whole context of becoming an agent of change is there. So you've got the 4 disciplines of execution that are explained in detail, and then you've got the scoreboard. This is something really important. All of these examples have an example of a scoreboard. You want to use some sort of an example of a scoreboard that's going to give a context of what you're doing. So the 4 disciplines are dealt with and explained, and then the 5 stages of change are highlighted through this visual. Okay, so again, bringing these 2 components together. Once you understand the 4 disciplines, you've got the 5 different stages, and you run through these key ideas. There's a comparison of the influencer and the 40X model. There is a link to the influencer model page as well, extremely important, and the references are in place. So again, another example of how these pieces fit together. I think that the most important thing that I want you to understand is that in all these examples that we have here, you'll notice that the students are talking about teams. We've established a set of rules, right? The context is all about what we will be doing. Please keep that in mind. The emphasis is on the team, right? It's the team is going to be doing these things. So it isn't you as the leader implementing these or demanding that these things get done. You are coming together and you're working with your team to build out a strategy of how you can get these things done. So keep these things in mind. Hopefully this has provided you a context of what your 40X plan can look like. Don't forget about linking to the innovation plan and linking to the influencer strategy and that comparison. And again, you've got a variety of different examples to take a look at. I've only showed you 4. There's many others that you can take a look at. I look forward to seeing how you pull all these pieces together.